Joseph, I've seen this entire agreement clause in contracts before. What's the big deal about it?
It's a crucial clause, Linda. Think of it as the final word on a contract. It states that the written contract is the sole agreement between the parties. Any discussions, promises, or agreements made outside of the written contract don't hold legal weight. While this clause ensures clarity, it's essential to anticipate long-term needs and build flexibility into your contracts when necessary.
So, if we discuss something important but it's not in writing, it's not binding?
Exactly. For example, if we're hiring a contractor to remodel our office, and we verbally agree on using specific eco-friendly materials, but if it's not in the written contract, the contractor isn't legally obligated to use those materials. Have you ever had a situation where an important verbal agreement wasn't honored? That's where this clause plays a key role.
That's a bit harsh.
It might seem so, but it's necessary to prevent misunderstandings and disputes. Imagine a scenario where a client promises a bonus but doesn't include it in the contract. If the contract has an entire agreement clause, the client can't be legally forced to pay the bonus.
So, it protects both sides?
Absolutely. It ensures that both parties are clear on the terms and conditions of the agreement. It's a safeguard against future disagreements. This clause ensures the agreement records all rights and obligations between the parties. Nothing outside the contract, such as oral terms, is legally enforceable unless written into the agreement.
Are there any exceptions to this rule?
While the entire agreement clause is powerful, there are exceptions. In rare cases, courts might consider evidence outside the contract if there's clear proof of fraud, duress, or mutual mistake. However, it's always best to have everything in writing to avoid potential legal battles.
Should we always include this clause in our contracts?
It's generally a good practice. For buyers, including this clause means you must be meticulous about ensuring all negotiated terms are written into the contract. It prevents any future misunderstandings. For sellers, it provides a safeguard against additional claims or obligations not outlined in the contract. However, an overly restrictive, entire agreement clause can have drawbacks.
Drawbacks? Like what?
Well, it can limit flexibility. In long-term contracts, unforeseen circumstances might arise that weren't accounted for during the initial agreement. If the contract is too rigid, it can make it difficult to adapt to new situations or changes. This can be particularly challenging in dynamic industries where conditions and requirements evolve quickly.
That sounds problematic. Do you have an example?
Sure. Imagine a company hires a caterer for corporate events. They verbally agree on dietary accommodations and bonuses for exceptional service. Later, the company tries to enforce these terms, but the caterer relies on the entire agreement clause to deny them. The company is left stuck, as verbal agreements aren't binding.
That makes sense. Any other scenarios where this could be an issue?
Definitely. Consider a software license agreement. If the upgrade terms are vaguely discussed and not written into the contract, the software provider can deny any agreed upon upgrades. This leaves the buyer unable to enforce the terms.
So, it really underscores the importance of getting everything in writing.
Precisely. Remember, while this clause protects you, it's essential to build flexibility into your contract if you anticipate changes or evolving needs. The entire agreement clause is a valuable tool, but it's crucial to use it in conjunction with other contract drafting techniques. By understanding its implications and using it strategically, we can ensure that our contracts are both effective and fair. Always consult with a legal professional to ensure the clause fits your specific needs and circumstances.
Thanks, Joseph. This has been incredibly helpful. I now understand why this clause is so important and how to balance its use.
You're welcome, Linda. Whether you're drafting or reviewing a contract, understanding the entire agreement clause is essential. Protect yourself by getting everything in writing. For example, a typical entire agreement clause might read, "This agreement constitutes the entire understanding between the parties with respect to the subject matter hereof and supersedes all prior discussions, negotiations, agreements, and understandings, whether written or oral. No modification or amendment to this agreement shall be effective unless in writing and signed by both parties." Remember, a well-drafted contract with a clear but balanced entire agreement clause is key to protecting your interests and avoiding potential disputes.